Proceed to cancel.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Palsh, aka Palsh 109, from Press B to Cancel. I am with the guy known as GP, or Guy Prime, the guy known as Guy Prime, from the Therapy Couch. I screwed that one up. How's it going, GP?
I want to talk about sex.
Again? Okay, I'm down.
I mean, like, good old-fashioned, what am I looking at in 8 bits, but I like it. Miss Jackson, if you're nasty. Video game characters.
I've never understood that reference. That Miss Jackson, if you're nasty. That's what is it? Woo-woo.
It's a Janet Jackson song.
Oh, I am for real. Okay, now I was thinking of that
Oh,
song.
God.
Okay, so yeah, I'm not gonna like perv out too much because I want this. I'm gonna talk about my first video game crush. I wanna hear about you. Do you know like your very first? Because there were many for me as a kid. Do you know of your actual first crush from a game?
Yes, but if we could focus more on yours, that'd be great to save me some embarrassment.
Okay, cool. Yeah, because I got no shame. So this is like I'm gonna go with a respectful way to do this because my first crush. I was probably like 7 or 8 years old. I don't know how old I was.
Sure.
When people are gonna be like, anybody who's listening before is probably gonna be like, oh god, they're talking about this again. But when did Final Fantasy IV come out again? What year? 91.
91, I think.
Okay,
or
so
maybe 93. I don't know.
okay, so let's split the difference. We'll call it 92 by the time I played it.
Okay.
So I would have been 8 years old. Okay, so this is my first RPG. I remember seeing my friends playing it, and so I'm 8 years old, and we get Rydia. Okay, and I'm like, okay, we saved the girl from absolutely nothing, to be honest. But I thought we saved the girl as a kid. We actually killed her parents. Spoiler, but that happens in the first like half hour of the game. I was watching my brothers play it. I'm like, okay, who's this? She's got green hair first off, and I'm like, I never saw like anime or anything at this point in my life. Only thing I saw that was green on TV was like Incredible Hulk or Ninja Turtles, stuff like that. But I was like, oh, cool. And I realized, okay, my brothers are basically reading everything aloud to me. And I mean, I could read, but like they were going faster than I could keep up. And I'm like, okay, so this girl, she's a kid, okay, and she's crying, and oh, okay, so they're going to protect her now, okay, whatever's going on, they're going to protect her. And I'm like, okay, so she's my age. I look through the manual, and I'm like, okay, cool, she's a caller. She can take stuff, and like, first thing she does is cast Titan, basically. I'm like, whoa, okay. So you don't mess with this little kid. And then I'm like, okay, she's the same age as me. I'm like, that's cool. I like this. And then you lose her with everybody else. And later on, she comes back. Spoiler. I should say spoiler first, but no. I'm not doing that. Not today. But she comes back, and you're just like, jaw drop. Like, huh. Like, she hit puberty all of a sudden because she was probably 8 to 10 years old. All of a sudden, she's a beautiful young woman, and you can see it different in the 16-bit sprite. And I'm just like, cool. And all of a sudden, she has no white magic. She's all black magic. Cool. Okay, because I never used any white magic because I didn't know how to heal as a kid. And all of a sudden, she's got all these new, like, espers, calls, eidolons, as I used to call them, whatever you want to call them. And I'm just like, whoa. So all of a sudden, and her face in the menu was always just like, cool. This is so cool. And I just thought it was neat how they made her older, going from like this innocent little kid who can, cast some spells, who's still probably better than Tella after 5 levels up into the game. And all of a sudden, yeah, let's make her a total like damage dealer. I was just like, cool, okay, so it works for me. The whip thing is kind of cool, even though I'm not really into that. I'm glad that you're a uncertified therapizer because now Now I'm feeling like I'm perving out a little bit here.
Well, let's examine some of what you said.
Oh God, here we go.
So you're not into the whips, but you are into badass green-haired ladies who can summon monsters from another realm, correct?
Yeah, that's fair to say.
Okay, but the whips, just a little too much for you.
It's not too much. It's just not like a drool-worthy thing. We'll put it that way.
Okay.
And I mean,
Okay.
this is like my first crush though too. So I'm still 8 years old, and I got like another like 12, 13 years until I actually hit puberty. So this was a pretty innocent time for me. I just kind of was like, I want to
hit puberty in
marry her.
you hit puberty in your 20s?
Yeah. Didn't you?
Okay. No, I'm in my late 30s, and I'm hoping any day now.
Okay, that explains the facial hair. Okay, that's why only me and Werewolf have finally hit it.
So, also, to go back to the very beginning of your description of Iridia, the very first descriptor, quote unquote, that you use for her is that her parents are dead. Now, is that something that you look for? Also, by your hand.
Yeah, like if
Inadvertently.
there's a certain Stockholm syndrome kind of thing I never realized until right now. And
Is there a bend? Okay. Because I know you're also a big Batman fan, and his parents are famously dead.
yeah. I'm trying not to keep Batman and Final Fantasy characters from intermingling because I think my brain would just explode with satisfaction. So
You're right. Okay, re-record it. Okay, so we're back at it. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, I'll leave out the Batman stuff. I'll leave out the comic book stuff. So, green-haired kid that potentially you kind of crushed on because she looked interesting and she was about your same age at the time. Her first version.
that was the intro into it. And I'm like, oh, cool. And you have Rosa in the beginning with Cecil, and I don't know. I wasn't feeling it. It's like, okay, they're already in love, and blah, 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 blah. So the arc is already there.
It's a respect issue.
Yeah. Like, wanted to be Cecil, he's badass. Wanted to be Kane, he's badass. And then, actually, I always liked Cecil more, personally. But, anyways. Yeah, I'm just getting off topic here. Yeah, Rydia's bae still. And this is what? Almost 20 years later? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I think as far as especially Final Fantasy IV goes, or I guess for the purposes of this episode, Final Fantasy foreplay, that is she is absolutely the stunner, I suppose. The way that Tifa is from 7, I think is of course a lot of people like Aerith. Okay, I'm getting off topic now. What I'm saying,
Before I
if
just
I'm
come off
saying
as the only
anything-
perv, I want to ask you before anything. Who's your first video game crush? You don't have to go into detail like I did because I'm just kind of nerding out here, but if you want to. it's up
Okay.
to you.
So if we're discussing video game crushes before, like, we understood that we were crushing on a character,
Yeah.
like, because I was young, but I was kind of obsessed with the way certain characters appeared. So I'll tell you 2 of them. One's embarrassing. The other, well, okay. You know the dog from Duck Hunt? Let's move on. I had some very interesting feelings about Samus from Metroid.
Okay.
And then,
which
of course,
one?
eventually we find out Samus is a girl. So, like, there eventually were some questions that I asked myself. But no, that said, I don't know. Obviously, Rydia was one of my first exposures to...
Puberty.
Yeah, like that kind of age where you're like, oh, I like the way she looks. I don't really know what's going on, but let's get more of that. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then, of course, I grew up to marry, well, Tifa. Yeah. It's okay. My wife doesn't really listen all that often, but it's true.
She doesn't care about video game crushes because she doesn't understand.
Oh no, she probably has her own set of crushes that I actually like. I bet there would be some overlap, and this is a good segue. Here's why I say overlap. If I were overlap. If I were to say Meryl from Metal Gear Solid. So that game came out. I was 12 years old, 13 years old, just right in the thick of things.
Yeah.
This is such a weird episode for me.
The very beginning of things, basically.
So there were more attempts than were medically necessary to try to beat Meryl into that bathroom so that I could see her without pants. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you remember that? Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's a very big part of the original game. I remember that. It's like, what? Oh, is this really happening?
And part of it, especially because the polygons of PlayStation 1, a lot of it is like fill in the blank theater of the mind
Yeah.
stuff. So you're like, this is great. You know what I mean?
It's like the original Tomb Raider when people start doing that. It's just like, the tissue box cosplay kind of deal.
Oh my God.
But yeah, it's that theater of the mind, like you said. Like you fill in the blanks, and you're like, I know what they're trying to do here, and I like it.
And I'm cool with it, yeah.
Yeah.
But that said, I would not be shocked if my wife, 8-Bit Beatrix, were to say that, like, David Hayter, from Metal Gear Solid, Solid Snake, I would not be shocked if she was like, yeah, that was my material for, that point in time. So that's why I say I think there's probably some overlap. Because really, for as great as the Metal Gear games are, it is just dripping with raw sexuality.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's part of the fun. So, but I mean, David Hayter also, like, he kind of reminds me of this. Oh, I don't know. He's got this kind of aloof Bruce Wayne Batman thing. Like he knows he's the fucking man,
Yeah.
but at the same time, he's a little bit clueless to how the world works in certain ways. In other ways, don't look at him the wrong way. So it's
Right.
So we're gonna throw that. Okay, this is a man crush for me is the Batman stuff. So, and
I'm so glad that you said that because I was about to just throw the gauntlet down and be like, you know what? Let's add David Hayter to the
Yeah.
list. 'Cause Solid
Yeah.
Snake is gorgeous.
Oh,
Love
yeah.
that guy.
I mean,
Yeah.
the perfect specimen kind of deal, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, we've already talked about our man crushes from the Man Crush Friday episode. Yeah.
Right.
So this was just our trying to balance it out a little bit because
Because we're getting a lot of emails.
yeah, we're getting questionable emails like, hey, I didn't know, so what do you do? And I'm like, you know what? Screw it. No, no, I like it's less perving out for me as a kid. I mean, and there were things I'm sure I perved out over as a kid, but radio wasn't one of them. It was like that first, this is my dream girl kind of thing.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And,
Oh, yeah.
And then you start playing games later on, like Streets of Rage, Blaze. Everyone had a crush on Blaze. But I remember, I think it was 2 or 3, one of them, the character select screen, there was this tiny, tiny semblance, probably just the fact that it was like she had brown hair. But she kind of reminded me of my very first girlfriend when I was like 11 or something, like they're 10 or 11. And I'm like, oh my God. And, otherwise, absolutely not, because, we were like 10 or 11. So it's not like she looks like Blaze. So, yeah, it's just that, again, theater of the mind. You start filling in those blanks and seeing what you want to see. And I think that's probably the charm. We've talked about that many a time where, we love the art and games so much because you kind of picture those things. So.
Right. Well, and, to go back to Rydia, that is a character who is, I don't want to say over cosplayed, but people definitely take advantage of the way the character is meant to look in the cosplay world, and I think that's great.
Fact.
So, while it may not have started off, when you're a kid as this perving out thing, it definitely turns into this, we grew up to perv out over it. You know what I mean? At cons and stuff. And, and I think that's okay. I think there's definitely, I don't say a fine line territory, but, to cosplay as an over-sexualized, summoner from Final Fantasy IV is one thing, but if you start cosplaying as a, like, Lola Bunny, like, what's up with Lola Bunny? I feel like there's lines there, and I don't know how to handle any of it.
Yeah, like, okay, so video game crushes again. Is there a Space Jam game? Because Lola Bunny would be up there.
Yeah, there's
And
gotta
like,
be.
at the risk of sounding like a furry, I really don't care because, goddamn.
I feel like Lola Bunny, whoever designed that character, I want to ask, was that a gift for the adults or was that a gift?
Yeah.
Yeah, like, or was
That's
it just
for
meant
the
to?
parents, for the guys that are taking their kids to the movie, and they're like, well, we got to put something in there for the adults.
It's supposed to be a matinee showing, but
Yeah. But it's one of those things too, where it's like the over accentuated movements and stuff like that, like the hips and stuff. So nothing is like anatomically correct. Nothing is realistic. But you're just like, cool.
well, and that's the thing. Like, it's a very interesting conversation we're having today because we don't want to come off as those people who just look at something and over sexualize it or reduce everything to their physical attributes. But then again, it's video game characters. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or so and it's funny because even as a kid, like I've always been kind of a sensitive dude. So if I were to look at like Tifa Lockhart and try to explain to somebody and be like, but I feel like we could hang out and like just totally respect each other too, like, yeah, that's the kind of kid I was.
Your friends are always going to be like, yeah, you like girls.
Right. If I were to put a poster up of Tifa Lockhart, I would feel obligated as a human being to put up like her history and backstory as well.
Yeah.
Because there's more to this. Like, no, and I know it's kind of silly, but that's just the kind of person I've always been. But I said that whole thing like it's a hypothetical, when in fact more of that was true than I could admit.
Hey man, if I had it, I would have put it up. All right. I wasn't a big Tifa fan. The first time through was all Aerith. I'm still used to saying Aerith, but yeah, Aerith. So the first time I went through, I was playing Final Fantasy VII. For anybody who's not aware, these are characters from Final Fantasy VII. And yeah, so Aerith was the innocent, pure kind of thing, and Tifa was like the tomboy, but all of a sudden, Tomb Raider had nothing on her for... Yeah, so anyway...
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I the second time around, I kind of favored Tifa more, but I'm still more of an Aerith guy.
Tifa gets now I'm also in my head like about cosplay. Tifa gets cosplayed all the time. I don't know if anybody gets cosplayed more than Samus Aran though.
And that's impressive.
Everybody
too.
who does like the Patreon and stuff, who does those cosplay, I feel like it's obligated. If you say you're going to do sexy cosplay, they just send you the blue bodysuit.
Oh yeah. I was thinking of the actual like the Varia suit and stuff, because I've seen that, and when people do that, even when they're done bad, I'm impressed because I'm like, that takes a lot of work. So it's pretty cool. And I like Samus because it's like one of those strong female, what is it, role models, I guess. Strong female lead is what I'm trying to say. It doesn't matter that she's a female, that she's not over sexualized or anything. Well, until you take that suit off, but the original artist apparently had a thing. He used to have a rule about her feet for when she was out of the suit, when the blue thing became the norm. Because, I mean, she had like the black bikini kind of deal before that. When they kind of introduced that blue suit as the undersuit, they had a rule about how there would only be so much of a heel to her shoes, so she wasn't like a comic book character kind of caricature of a female body, basically. So, and I'm like, I kind of like that. That's part of the I got a respect for Samus, because she's like the badass bounty hunter, but
yeah, I love a girl who can kick my ass. Also, does Jessica Rabbit count? I think there's a universality to Jessica Rabbit, who was in Who Framed Roger Rabbit, but I don't know that I've ever met somebody who's been like, who's just really ugly and not at all attractive.
yeah.
It's Jessica Rabbit.
And that's another one of the Lola Bunny comparison I made, where they have those like over accentuated curves and stuff like that, and you're just like, yeah. So puberty hit again. So
well, with Jessica Rabbit, it keeps hitting. That's the thing.
Yeah.
It takes me back.
And you need someone playing brass behind you where they can be like, pop, 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 pop. Okay.
Sorry, that was one of those inhale laughs. We should cut that out. I'm gonna sound like a horse.
It's okay, man. I'm trying to work on my Krusty the Clown laugh and get rid of it, because I realize I do that lately.
No, don't get rid of it. That's wonderful.
I used to do the Krabappel laugh, and I didn't realize it. I got that from my brother because he used to always be laughing. He'd be like, ha! And it'd always be kind of like that super loud thing. So now, apparently, I have devolved into Krusty the Clown.
Devolved.
So, yeah. Look, if I'm going to be either of those characters, I'd be Edna, all right? She's not... She's lonely, okay? She's not just like an asshole drunk taking like a kid show and that's it. That whole thing with her writing to somebody and asking for the matchbooks from the different bars and stuff. I don't know. It hit me. No, I don't know what I'm getting on with.
How does that make you feel?
Oh man, I forgot I'm talking to the therapizer.
Now, what's the situation with Krabappel's parents? Are they alive? Did you kill them?
We can use this because there are Simpsons games.
That's true, actually.
She is in them.
Yeah, I don't know. It's well, like you said, we have the other episode that is our dude crushes because I don't know. There to me, there's just something captivating about how these it's almost a romanticized idea, especially like we talked about Final Fantasy IV. You look at Cain, they never even show his face. And so you kind of have this whole, like I said, romanticized, as we've said 20 times already, theater of the mind thing. And
you can kind of put your own face in there. You can have your own personality because he's in love with the woman who's taken, and he's conflicted, and then like he gets mind controlled, and he didn't mean to, but like there's that arc. I think that's part of it. Yeah. Is they don't show his face to try to. I think they try to do that to put people into it, but yeah, this is a whole other episode. We can get into that one.
Also, I have to ask you, Peach or Daisy?
Daisy.
Really? Okay.
Definitely Daisy. Yeah, it's that brown hair, man. Wait, who's the other one? Isn't there a third one now?
Oh, I don't know. Waluigi?
No. Okay. Mario Party characters, I think, is the easiest way.
I will say this. I always kind of had a thing for Princess Peach. I think it's because like you always see her just kind of like give smooches, and as a kid I'm like, that is wholesome and perfect, and I worked hard for it, and so I kind of idealized Princess Peach, and the fact that she just gave you smooches for a good job, and especially the fact that I've never been a big fan of the girl who needs saving. Like I said earlier, I love a gal who can kick my ass. I like somebody who holds their own and doesn't always have to be saved. And yes, you do have to save Princess Peach on occasion, but anybody who's played Smash Brothers know that somewhere along the line she took some sort of like boot camp or jujitsu or some nonsense because she's an ass kicker.
She's kicking ass. Yeah. Yeah. No, you got a total point. Like in
Taibo, she took Taibo.
Taibo. Yeah. My favorite iteration of Princess Peach is when she's in Mario RPG because by then I started playing the game more and. She's wicked because she can do some damage, but like the heals and stuff are just crazy OP. So when you have her and Bowser and Mario in the same party, I'm just like, this is so cool.
Let's actually kind of like analyze this for a second, because again, I'm so worried that people are going to take this as strictly a, well, it doesn't matter what I'm afraid of, but do you think at all that in some sort of way video games have helped develop a sense of admiration or even lust, I suppose, for strong, capable women?
I think so, yeah.
Or, I mean, it doesn't always have to be women, of course, but I'm saying in the context that we're discussing,
Oh, yeah. I definitely think so. I mean, when you look at the earlier era that we grew up in, especially for stuff, like there's video games before NES and Super NES, but those are the ones that I experienced growing up. And so, like, I got to play these games during my formative years kind of deal. But, those games back then, if they made girls in games, or if they made a game for girls, quote unquote, it was like Barbie or something like that, where they were really cheesy and they were just basically saying, hey, let's try to tap into the little girls instead of just like little boys, because they were always marketing it as something for boys. But they didn't need to, because video games are video games. Right. I'll play gladly as a female character in a video game. I'm not one of those ones like, oh, I don't want to play the chick. I'm one of the first ones to do it. I'm like, hell yeah.
But that's part of the brilliant thing of what they did with Metroid, because the whole time you're playing that game and you're kicking ass and blowing shit up, and for all we know, you're essentially the guy from Contra in a spacesuit.
Yeah.
So for that to kind of be like turn on its head if you beat the game fast enough or thorough enough, to find out, this badass space chick is who you've been controlling. I don't know. I think that was pretty great, and I've never really looked at any of this before in that kind of context, and now I'm really enthralled by the idea.
No, that's the thing with video games for me. Like, I like looking at them introspectively. So that's part of the reason why I wanted to do the podcast with everybody, is because we get to just talk about video games, and not necessarily in ways that you'll see or read about in reviews or videos and stuff on that. So
also Jade and Melina and Katana from Mortal Kombat. Can we have this discussion without mentioning the and that one? I feel less creepy for admitting that, because let's face it, that is not any sort of effective armor what they wear in the Mortal Kombat games.
This is true. Very true. But it's like, if you've played as them, they don't need it. Just like, nobody else has armor in that really either. Yeah. But like, they don't need it because they're ass kickers. So.
Right.
That's why I like seeing the girls in fighting games, because it's like, okay, besides the, oh God, like, what is it? The Marvel games with Psylocke.
Yeah.
That was probably where I entered puberty.
That was the moment it happened.
Yeah. I was like, okay, I'm now a man.
Yeah.
Or at least I'm aware.
I'm aware of that, yeah.
Yeah. No, but like, it's one of those things where that felt like the introduction, where you could have girls in games and stuff, and when you see people playing as them, it's like, okay, it's no big deal. It's a game, it's an avatar. Not everybody has to be your personal avatar of who you relate to in a game, so it's kind of cool. You get lost and stuff, but at the same time, like we said, we kind of fall in love with characters and stuff, and that's where it is.
I think Chun-Li has to be on that list.
I would take Chun-Li over. Well, I'm not a big Mortal Kombat guy. I like Mortal Kombat 2 was the only one I got super attached to.
Such a good game.
Yeah. Oh, and after my memory banks, you can't hear my keyboard because it's silent now. Rosalina from Super Mario Galaxy is who I was talking about.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, she's very magical.
She had, I haven't played the game, but I remember seeing her, and I think she's in more than one, right?
Well, and she was in the Wii Mario Kart.
Okay, yeah. So if she had brown hair, because I find it throws me off because I just think it's Peach at first, and I'm like, okay, if she had brown hair, I'm like, okay, then it's Daisy, and then so now I'm just like, okay, maybe they should have made her a redhead or something. I don't know. I just get confused.
Yeah. The redheads need more,
Yeah.
They need to be in more games.
Rosalina red hair, yeah. But no, I'm gonna stick with Daisy for that. But either way, one final one I'm gonna throw in, and it's gonna be. I'm gonna be a little ashamed of this, but at the same time, I'm not. Besides the fact that we've already mentioned Lola Bunny, is Bowsette.
Oh my God!
Not gonna lie, man.
No, nor should you have to. For no other reason than it's video games.
Yeah, exactly. But I thought that was an actual character because a friend online was telling me about it when the meme started, and the way he framed it, because English wasn't his first language. He spoke it probably more eloquently than me, but either way, I thought he mentioned that Bowsette was a new character, and he negated to mention that it was basically like a fan thing, a fan creation. And so I was like, okay. And then I started looking it up, and I'm like, whoa. So it was just hilarious because I'm like, why is this so appealing?
It's funny that you say that. Okay. There's a thing that early video games did, and follow me on this. I'm going to bring it back around to Chun-Li before I even begin to discuss Bowsette with you. No.
We're not opening that can of worms.
No, it's opened. But here's the thing. They, in especially Super Nintendo and probably Genesis, they would show little curves of Chun-Li's butt. And every now and then you'd come across video games where it's like that, can we pause that sort of moment? Am I really seeing what I think I'm seeing? And I think as a kid that drove me nuts more than anything. Kind of like in this, like, I can't believe they would do this. There it is. Do it again.
And then you're pausing, every time you do like the upside down bean sardine kick.
Yes, but it's again. There's 10,000 of those in video games, and I think you really only notice them when you're super super young, because it's that, you know, when you're a certain age. I think there's just that whole thing of like, I shouldn't be seeing this. I you know. So I don't know. It's those kind of things drove me crazy as a kid up until the Meryl no pants thing or the Meryl no pants doing setup thing, you know. So
yeah,
that for me Meryl was like when it went from like noticing that stuff to like actively pursuing it in video games.
yeah. I
feel so creepy.
Yeah, no, we've definitely come off as creepy by now. But no, it's all in good fun. Like I said, it was a formative thing for us. So,
yeah, of course, of course.
And yeah, if anything, you know, the older I get, the less I really care if something's sexualized, over sexualized. I just don't really care if they do it in a game anymore now. It's like, okay, the shock factor is gone. I don't care how scantily clad this one is. But I mean, I'm not going to say I don't appreciate it, but I'm just saying it's just like, okay, yeah, they tacked that in for some attention.
Right. I feel like as graphics have improved in video games, they've done away with these small little, like, oh my God, was that part of a butt cheek? Like, you know, stuff, to just really leaning into the over-sexualization and just like, well, that's just that person's ass. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Look at the bulge on that guy. You know, stuff like that.
Yeah, you don't hear people, like, compliment anyone on the bulge, but someone starts walking around with scantily clad, like, leather pants and stuff like that and crazy cleavage. People go wild. It's like, that's not fair. But, I mean, check out the Man Crush episode. Maybe we'll have discussed that.
Yeah. Oh, man. This is good. And like I said, I'm glad we had this conversation. I honestly... you and I both stan, is that the right term? A crush on Rydia. But hearing you discuss Rydia, I have to say I think you deserve her more than I.
Yes!
She is now Rosa, and you are Cecil.
I'm cool with that, okay.
Yeah.
Cecil's still my favorite, I gotta say.
That's okay. I still get to be Edge. So
yeah, I would go for it.
Just that ninja going around hitting on everybody.
Yeah. Yep. But I'm the one who gets with Rydia. Wait,
to go back to the opening of the episode when you were talking, the other thing about Rydia, and this is where, well, no, let's cut that part out. I don't really know how to properly formulate the sentence there. I might address that. She's an interesting character, and when they updated and ported over the Final Fantasy IV, you know, to the PlayStation 1 and other things where they've had cinematic cutscenes. That's when they really leaned into it, and they said, well, here she is in all of her sexual gloriousness or whatever.
Rendered glory.
Yeah, there you go, rendered glory. So, yeah, again, I think part of the creepiness, like looking back and be like, oh my God, I can't believe that's how it was. It's kind of validated later on when they do those ports and they're like, no, you fell for it. This is exactly what we wanted.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the theater of their mind again. Like, we keep going back to that.
But we all were in the same theater, in the same mind.
Exactly. Like, they were putting something out there on purpose. Like, they're gonna make this one. Like, you get those. You get the feelings that you're supposed to get from these simple pixels, you know, and is written well enough. Like, you can pick apart how badly it's written or how badly it's aged, but they still evoke those feelings, and like they can actually portray what they're trying to portray with such limited art, basically. And that's part what I like, because then you fill in the blanks yourself, like you said. So
yeah.
But either way, yeah, hopefully this didn't come off as too pervy, but we just wanted to show our respect for, because this was a formative gaming experience. Maybe we should talk about formative gaming experiences.
I'll put it on the list.
Already. Okay, we'll put it on the list. Maybe by the time this airs, we've already talked about it. We'll find it out. But still, thank you for joining me, GP. Is there anybody you'd like to tack on at the end here? If you talk about the dog from Duck Hunt, I'm
Go back and play it and tell me. Tell me you don't see it. I actually, to overanalyze that, I like being laughed at. And that's what the dog made me realize. Because that dog shows up right when, you miss all the ducks and the dog laughs at you. And I guess I just like to be shamed. Yeah. Wow. Whew. Breakthroughs tonight, guys, really.
Yeah, we've discovered so much from two amateur guys talking about early video game crushes. So, yeah. All right, let's call her quits here, because otherwise I think we'll just end up ranting about every video game ever made that we've played. So
I have to play Final Fantasy IV. Like that's the takeaway from you today.
When in doubt. Okay.
Final Fantasy IV.
Yeah, everybody knows where to find us by now, so we won't do that. You can always find more information on where to find us if you want to hear more GP streams over at the Therapy Couch.
Actually, I'm
Twitch.
Sick Jake. My name is Sick Jake.
Sick Jake.
Sick Jake.
Handsome devil. All right.
Thank you.
Cool. Well, thank you so much. We have Werewolf and Sick Jake. I think they're going to work on some Tap B stuff too. So this is a Tap B episode. Not all four of us. Don't worry, we're not breaking up. The boy band is not breaking up. We're just splitting it out because me and GP like talking to each other, and we like when you listen. Guys, jump into our Discord. Join the conversation. Let us know about your early crushes and why, and PG preferably, because I don't want to get into that rabbit hole. Maybe I don't know.
Sorry, is there a
something
Lola
joke
Bunny?
Yeah, get out of my head. Okay.
Yeah, we have to cut that out.
Okay, well, anyways, thank you everybody for listening. We are half of Press B to Cancel, and this is Palsh 109 and GP Guy Prime from the Therapy Couch. So thank you again.
Thank you.
Special thanks for music go to Arthur the Ancient, found on SoundCloud, or The Last Ancient on YouTube. For more episodes, please visit our website, pressbtocancel.com. As well, feel free to like or subscribe at Apple iTunes, Google Podcasts, or anywhere else you like to listen to your favorite shows. As always, thank you. This has been
Press B to cancel.
Press it.